Hi guys, Kim here. I've got no way of measuring the relevance of the information I receive from source, but one thing for sure is I feel that I wouldn't be receiving it if I wasn't meant to share it with you. So yesterday whilst having a bath I received a message to say that the Mayan calendar date of the 21st of December 2012 was very significant. And that date was the beginning of a very important cycle and that I should pay attention. I wasn't really sure what to do with this, but years ago while studying the Mayan calendar, one of the core components within it that I resonated with was this idea that everything was nature and everything was cyclic and that there was a pattern. So I studied the pattern diligently years ago, and it was a pattern of 13 stages made up of 7 days and 6 nights, the story of creation repeating over and over. And the concept aligned with me because it aligned with nature, but it also aligned with the story of creation. So each of these stages had a particular description and events attached each day and night, which would be integrated and then understood or applied to our conscious selves in order for us to work through the growth. Ian Lungold likened it to the life cycle of a plant. He also said that if we could perceive ourselves as belonging to the pattern, that we would be able to see the events around us playing out in this pattern, and that we'd have a much greater understanding of where we were at. I've been perpetually aware of paying attention and looking for markers in this cycle. Then yesterday, when they announced the Hurricane Ida heading for New Orleans on the same date as it landed last time, surely that's more of a coincidence. It made me pay attention, as this event had occurred before. So stay with me here. My immediate thought was, this is an indicator that we are in a new cycle. But where in the cycle are we? I know Ian Lungold put a great emphasis on the idea that the galactic wave consisted of 13 cycles of 260 days, where the cycle was about mankind learning ethics. And my thoughts were, oh my goodness, we're certainly learning that right now. Whereas the previous cycle, the planetary cycle, was humanity learning about power and how to harness it. He likened it to two trains hurtling towards each other at breakneck speed, one called power and the other called ethics, and that there would be a point where these two trains would collide, and at this point ethics would derail power, as it was a higher vibration. Then there was a universal wave to follow that, consisting of 13 cycles of 20 days each. So my wording of follow it may not be clear because all of these cycles accumulate to end on the same date. Anyway, following that process, what would be the date for this to occur? So I sat down and I worked out, if I took the date of 21st of December 2012 and added 13 cycles of the day and nights consisting of 260 days, which worked out to be 3,380 days, which brought me to the date of the 24th of March 2022. Now, I would have been more convinced if it had fallen on the 21st or the 22nd of March, as this would be the last day of Pisces and the first day of Aries, and therefore the beginning of the new cycle. But then again, my calculations could be out, as I could be counting the first day and the last day, which would leave us with the date of the 22nd of March as the dawning of the sixth sun of consciousness. So I proceeded to work backwards in a 20-day cycle from that date, the 24th of March 2022. And if this was the case, and I'm not saying it is, then we will be currently sitting in the first night of this 20-day cycle. And I was thinking about doing a number of videos on each cycle and what each cycle contained to see if we could recognize the pattern and therefore be able to pinpoint where we're at currently. I need you to let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in this, as it'd be quite a lot of work for me and I don't really want to do that much work if people really aren't interested. But as I've been wrong many times before to identifying this pattern, so it's mainly guessing on my part. If we understand what period of each day and night consisted of, then maybe we could work out where we are in the scale. The days in the cycle represent where you learn something, and the nights are where you integrate that understanding and take it forward into the next day. First day is about sowing seed, so the first day would have already been over on or about the 15th of August, and we'd be into the first night, which would be working out at this point how to enact what we learnt last month. The second day would land on the 5th of September or the 3rd of September, depending on which date we were going from. The one thing that Leon Lungle did emphasize is the longer that this goes on for, the easier it gets, meaning that the less it affects us personally as we're growing through the waves. So the energy with each wave becomes more and more finite until we get to a stage where we reach a level that no matter what is happening in the material plane of existence, we personally can no longer be affected by it, as we've reached a level where we're merely an observer, the eye, so to speak. So in closing, let me know if you're interested. Problem is that I'll be likening them to stages of a plant growing from seeding to death. So it would come in as an abstract concept rather than something that's measurable, other than from our own observations. If we can see repeating patterns from within events as they occur around us, then it might give us markers. There were certain markers, like I can remember the fifth night was an alien invasion. That hasn't happened yet, or at least not in my neck of the woods. Thanks for listening, ta-ta.